I finally read the quintessential young adult LGBTQ BookTube sensation, Simon versus the Homo Sapiens Agenda by Becky Albertalli. And am I the only one that does not like Simon? Simon is a high school boy who starts an email correspondence with this other mystery boy at his high school. For anonymity, the mystery boy goes by the name Blue. I loved Simon and Blue's emails with each other. It reminded me of when I used to be on AIM and AOL, like talking to, I don't know, other strangers. Because to be honest, that's what it was. It was like strangers my age. It also had me understanding why some people would like be in these long-term catfishing relationships for so long. Like, I mean, you see it on the show Catfish, but it's like you really understand, like, while you're watching it, like, why people are going to be in catfish relationships, because it's like just reading their email correspondences, like if they didn't know that they both went to the same school, like just talking to somebody else who you think that you might like just because of the things that you share in common and the things that just like the words that you say to each other, like you just start catching feelings off of that. And especially as a teenager, you start catching feelings. It gets weird. But for them, the emails back and forth between each other, it was so cute. It was very adorable to see the progress of their relationship, to see the progression of their attraction for each other. I didn't have a problem with Simon at the beginning of the book. He seemed like a nice kid with good friends and a chill family. But as the conversations between him and Blue continued, I was just slowly starting to dislike Simon. I was like, I didn't like the way he was handling Blue at times. It's giving red flags, it's giving underlying issues for the future of them. And then I also didn't like how he was thinking of his sister Nora. She's younger than him, so she's growing up and like changing, and her identity's kind of changing. And I feel like he felt like he needed to be a part of that. But I don't know. I just didn't like. I don't know. It was just a little too critical, but I also kind of get it because he's like a teenager. But it's also still like, What upset me about how he dealt with Nora is that he was changing, and it's almost like his little sister needs to stay the same. And I don't know, it felt like a little bit like I don't know, it just felt a little judgmental and bossy. So I really just didn't like the energy that it was giving. That he was just like, since when is she hanging out with those friends? Oh, since when did she get her ears pierced? Like, bitch, chill the fuck out. Mind your business. Go worry about what you and Blue got to talk about on the email. Go worry about what your friends is doing. That's what you need to be worried about. Pissing me off. I did not like that he wanted Blue to think of him only when Blue thought of sex, and I was just kind of like, I didn't like that. I just didn't like it because I didn't feel like he reciprocated the same kind of vulnerability that Blue was exhibiting to him. Simon kind of felt selfish in that because he wasn't like being as vulnerable himself. And additionally, it also did because he wasn't like reciprocating the same kind of like vulnerability in his feelings and saying like I really like you and I think you're cute and stuff like that. He was just kind of like, although because technically the only reason why they're saying like they're cute based on how they write to each other, but not necessarily like on how they look because they don't know what each other looks like because they're emailing each other. You know what I'm saying? So it didn't feel fair that like Simon wanted Blue to think of him when it comes to sex, or not even kind of like respond to Blue and say like, hey, I think you're like the way you say things is cute to me too. Like there was just no real reciprocation. It just felt one-sided, and it felt like Simon just wanted to be adored and to be like validated and to be made to feel great. But I also kind of get it because he's a teenager. But I just still just was not. I don't know. I understood, but I also felt like these are red flag signs of who Simon is gonna be as he gets older. I That's just what it feels like. It's just what it feels like. I was a bit annoyed with Simon when he got a little frustrated because Blue wasn't ready to like exchange phone numbers, because he wasn't ready to like take their communication and their connection to the next level, because that level gets closer to Blue revealing his identity, and he just wasn't there yet because he was not ready to be open about his sexuality. Simon was coming into being more comfortable with sexuality, and they just weren't at the same level. I understood Simon for that frustration, but I was also like, girl, relax. Like, just foster this relationship and don't try to bring this boy out the closet before his time, before he's ready. Like, chill out. I also kind of feel like I understand why Simon is the way he is based on how his older sister was, because when she came into the story, I wasn't too much a fan of her because I felt like his older sister Alice was kind of like, I don't know, I felt like she was kind of trying to control Simon, and she was kind of trying to control Nora, and she was just trying to control everybody. And I don't know, I just didn't like her energy because she came in trying to like run people, and I was just like, girl, go back to college, okay, go back to college. But I also kind of understand why Alice kind of was almost this bossy. She almost felt like a parent, and I feel like she felt like a parent because I feel like her parents were a little too chill as parents. They weren't being as, it was almost like they just want to be friends with their kids, and it's like, I get it, y'all are a cool family, but like step it up a little bit more and be freaking parents, because I feel like at some point later on in the story they had to realize that like they weren't being that great of parents. At that point it was just like, girl, it's not too late, but it's also like, girl, y'all should have been on top of this a long time ago. Like, what are you doing? I feel like Alice had to step up and be more of a parent to her younger siblings, and then in turn Simon also kind of was like being another parent in the family dynamic. Their parents kind of reminded me of the parents on My Wife and Kids. On My Wife and Kids, the parents were still kind of parents and they still disciplined, but they were just almost a little too goofy as parents. That was kind of like why I don't like My Wife and Kids. The parents was too goofy and the two oldest kids were too dumb. But in turn, it was kind of different with Simon and his parents. Their family's a little bit more like, oh, we're just trying to be like fun, cool parents. We're trying to be like the parents that you could like chill, and we're all coming together in family gatherings, which is not a problem, like let's family gather, but it's still like they didn't feel parental. They didn't feel like we're guiding you. Simon's family dynamic was just I think it contributed to why I didn't like Simon in the end of the book. Simon reminded me of Kurt from Glee, and I was just like, oh, you see, that's why I don't like you. That's why I don't like you. Talking about Glee, there were quite a few pop culture references in this book, and I don't think that was too much of an issue. It wasn't distracting to me, and I don't think it will date the book so much that it's like a bad thing. It just kind of places a specific time that this book was set. There were pop culture references to Harry Potter, to The Bachelor, to the movie Love Actually, and Tegan and Sarah. I think there were like a few more, but I cannot remember them right now. One pop culture reference I did not like was the reference to the Tumblr. That just kept annoying me because it's like, the Tumblr. In all the time that I've known what Tumblr is, I've never heard it called the Tumblr. I know Facebook, when it started, was called the Facebook. So I don't know where the Tumblr came from. It makes me wonder if, like, I don't know, she talked to somebody young and they said, well, I'm on the Tumblr, and misinformed her. So she kind of just ended up writing that into the book. Beyond that, Simon's friends were cool. Abby was my favorite. Abby's the one that stood out the most to me, probably because she was black, but she was also a very well written character. She was a very like engaging character, a character that you would want to have as a friend. Simon's childhood friend Leah, she felt angsty and moody. Of course she would be angsty and moody if she was attracted to one of her childhood friends. They weren't reciprocating the same attraction to her. Simon's other childhood friend, Nick, he was cool. I don't know, he didn't stand out too much to me. He seemed like a chill, laid back boy next door type. At the end of the book, I felt like Simon's friends and I felt like Blue deserved better than Simon. He's just exhibiting character traits that I just wasn't feeling. I just kind of walked away with the thought he might be one of those white gays, like as he gets older, you know, going to college, becoming an adult, he's gonna become one of those white gays that love BBC and fetishizes BBC, and I'm just like, girl, I don't like you. I don't like you at all. But on the other hand, because let me tell you, Blue kind of reminded me of Drake, because him and Drake have like similar backgrounds but almost in reverse. Would Blue become one of those like black okay? I would like to hope that, you know, he moves on from Simon in the future, as long as Simon's doesn't become a BBC fetishizing white gay. If he's not doing that, then it's like, okay, you know, y'all have y'all little relationship and enjoy and have a good time. But if he start, you know, you go find you a better friend group better community of LGBTQ and queer people, okay? That will not fetishize you. Because Simon is exhibiting some red flags. Let me not pass judgment. There wasn't a follow-up book to this, so we don't know who Simon turned out to be. Next, I'm gonna watch the movie to see if I like movie Simon better than I like book Simon. Thank you for spending your time with me, and I am out this bitch like Fleek. Shout out to Peaches. Thank you, girl.